So we are going to engage in our experience, our final offering of today's session, and that is an art-based healing intervention, right? It is a community-based ancestral practice, a ritual, an opportunity to engage different parts of our being and to allow to surface different wisdoms than we might be accustomed to allowing to surface. And so I am going to hand it over to our deeply respected, incredible practitioner, Jesus Solorio, who will guide us through an experience for the next portion of time. And I forgot to invite folks to grab any art materials before that last break. But hopefully you have some materials ready. Paper and pen is good enough. But if you have more, that is absolutely welcome. And a reminder now to get it. So thank you so much for being with us, Jesus. I welcome you and handed it over to you.
Hello, everyone. Just honored to be here today. Brief introduction, Jesus Solorio, El He, Him, and I'm an unceded Ohlone territory here, as we call Oakland, California. Brief introduction is that I am the son of Maria Socorro Solorio Torres and Jesus Solorio Bravo. Immigrant parents from what we call Mexico, Purepecha territory, down in Michoacan area. Brother of Maricela, Irma, Nicolasa, Norma, Sandra, and uncle to many, both through family and outside of family as well, or direct family, as we should say. Partner, duality, and husband to Vero Aro, and sorry, I just saw it admit things, so I'm just kind of ignoring that. And father to Ashgawitzin Aro Solorio, a little young hummingbird who is just a beautiful joy and a challenging spirit to guide, and is deeply teaching me how to heal and move forward and be more present. And my practice and what I'd like to introduce, it comes from the Mexicayot traditions, which include Mexica or Aztec dance, philosophy and knowledge, indigenous practices from Mexico, Central Mexico, in that area, in that region, that I've been reconnecting with over the years and practicing and integrate into my work as a licensed marriage and family therapist in terms of like my professional work, or what I am doing here in this Western world professionally. So I'm really grateful and honored to just be in this space with you all. So many beautiful teachings. I took a little nap as Shirley was guiding us through that meditation. I think I really needed a little bit of rest. And so just so many like gems and just yeah, beautiful to be here. And today, excuse me, we're gonna draw a little bit. We're gonna paint. We're gonna doodle. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. As we integrate some traditional teachings from the Mexica tradition, as I mentioned, the 4 directions. I briefly just wanted to say that while I have been taught these 4 directions and how to integrate this traditional wisdom, ancestral wisdom, into my daily life, that all of our cultures and all our traditions honor the traditions, the directions in various ways. And if we look back at many of our lineages culturally, from all 4 corners of the world, from all different colors of the human races, that we all hold this in one way or the other. and that these ways have been kind of forgotten, have been put to the side um, through this process of colonization that has, continued and continues to this day in various ways, and telling us that these traditional and ancestral practices are not valid anymore or not useful in today's modern high 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 paced technological systems oriented all that kind of stuff world that we live in. And What I'd like to share is that these systems are very science based, very earth based, very universally based, and all of our traditions hold them in different ways or the other. With that, wanted to also just honor my elders and teachers who have taught me along the way. Maestra Concha Salcedo, Dr. Sal Nunez, Maestro and Tío Samuelín Martinez, and Don Nawi Sochi, Juan Anceno, bringing them into the room, that what I'm sharing with you today comes from the permission of my elders and of my teachers in different ways. And again, there's no right or wrong way to share these. So deep breath. I'm taking a deep breath myself and attuning myself and getting here to just take a pause. We're gonna pause. This is more of an art-based guided meditation type of experience that I'd like to share with you all. And so if you have materials, whatever you may have, again, colored pencils, paints, pastels, um, lined paper, um, blank paper, a napkin. We can create and we can use anything. And if you don't feel the call to create or to draw or to paint and just listen, then we can do that as well. We're listening here with our heart, we're listening with our spirit, we're listening with our body, and we're also listening with our ears as we just sit and engage in this practice here. Um, and Before I get started, just a quick time check, because I was not really paying attention to that part of um, my monitor. We're going until about 11:50, right?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
I
we know
kind of,
we're adjusting time a bit. 12 o'clock.
yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Um, so if we can do the slide. Um, Again, I invite you to take a deep breath. We're going to engage in this arts-based meditation, traditional meditation. And as I share certain words, you can look at the images in front of us. We can also just pay attention to the words and create what comes from your heart. Create what comes from your heart. What are you needing today? We've heard a lot of just beautiful messages around visioning and hoping and rejuvenation and attunement and rest and authenticity and healing and connecting to the earth and the land. And so wherever you are is wherever you are. Wherever you are is the right place to be. We've heard about anger and grief and hope and all these energies that we carry within us. And so I'd like to just start off by sharing a few words about the East. Um, the East is where the day starts, where our sun first rises every day, whether we are aware of it or not, whether the clouds cover it up or not, the sun always rises. The sun rises from the East. Um, it gives us our first breath. It gives us that first light to start the day. In my tradition and in what I've learned, the East represents masculinity that we all hold in our mind, body, spirit, and hearts. It's not about gender. It holds masculine energy in life giving. It gives us life, especially with those first breaths and those first sunlights. We are all, in some ways, in the education world, in the healing world of education. Education can be healing, and the East, in my tradition, also represents knowledge. Not knowledge like the way this Western world says that it's about how we learn up here in our brain and how we do in our tests and how we memorize things, but knowledge in terms of our bodies, our spirits, our heart, and our brain, and how we utilize knowledge to support others, to support ourselves, and in many of our cases, to support our students, our educators, or ourselves as educators. How do we connect to our knowledge that is deeply rooted within our body? And as we're thinking about knowledge in that particular way, I encourage you to maybe draw something or maybe write something that reminds us, that tells us that your knowledge is beautiful. Your knowledge, especially when we step into our authentic knowledge, is power. It's empowering. And then the way we share our knowledge with our community, with the people we support, with the students we support, with our colleagues, that's beautiful. Our knowledge is also about listening. How do we listen? Do we listen with our brain? Do we listen with our ears? Do we listen with our spirit and with our heart and with our physical experience? How present are we with our listening? And so I'm grateful for the East. I'm grateful for that masculine energy that that resides within us, that we hold and we carry in various ways, and that knowledge that we help to create and support ourselves and others. And then I think about the West, the dualistic direction of the East, where the sun sets, where the sun goes down, where the day completes itself before it turns into darkness, ending of a cycle. A lot of the knowledge and traditions that I've learned is all around cycles. In the West or world, I say Western world, we talk about, the Gregorian calendar, the school calendar, and cycles and things like that. But every day from traditional knowledge is a cycle. In the West, the direction of the West represents that cycle. The West represents or holds the energy of the feminine from the traditions that I've learned. The feminine and the creation of life in another way, in a different way, in a physical way. Creation and creativity is some of the energies that are connected to the West. It's also about regeneration, creation in another way, regeneration, and as we think about some healing, what are the energies that we need to let go of to recreate and to do in different ways? Many of us carry trauma. How do we regenerate trauma to be life giving and not life sucking as trauma can be? And I think about the energy of the feminine, which, like the masculine, we all carry within us. We all carry, and how do we find balance with that creativity? Our systems of education have pulled away so much or gone away from creativity as part of knowledge, as part of learning. And so I think about how do we as educators, how do we as people who support folks who teach, folks in schools, folks in the educational system, how do we embrace our inner creativity to be able to support creativity in knowledge and the beautiful knowledge that creativity is. They're not opposite, they're not separate, but they're together. And I invite you to think about, and whether you're drawing, whether you're doodling, whether you're painting, writing a poem, whatever you're creating right now, how do you support your creativity in order to show up, in order to show up in your best possible way when the system is designed to not let us show up in our authentic, creative, most powerful way? You take a pause and you can again draw or doodle or breathe or drink water or do whatever is necessary to stay in your creativity, in your creative space. What we think about the north. Oops, next slide, please. I think I flipped those. In the mountain. Thank you. Sorry, I flipped the north and the south. The direction of the north from my tradition, as Shirley so powerfully pointed out, rejuvenation and rest earlier. The direction of the north is around rest, rejuvenation. It's the place of our ancestors. It's a place that our elders start to move into as they enter a new phase of life. The north tells us that there is a phase of life that we start to slow down, and a place where the elders go, which is the mountain that we see here. It's a direction of more cold. Things are a little bit slower. The body starts to move a little bit slower. The body starts to ache in certain areas. And at the same time, holds so much wisdom. And so it's a direction of wisdom. And wisdom, as we think about what it can be, wisdom is around integrating years of knowledge and experience with creation, with creativity in different ways, and utilizing it in a way to support others. Wisdom's not solely about knowledge, but it's really around that aspect of integration. Our elders eventually integrate into the earth. They go back into a cycle. And with that, the knowledge continues, as in they become ancestors and support us in ways. Our modern day society thinks about elders as burdens, as people that we have to figure out how to care for and take for, and maybe put them in places to get the care that they need. And this is not about judging that. It's also sometimes a place where we stop paying attention to elder stories because maybe some of them repeat the stories over and over and over again. And there are some elders in my life that every time I see them, they share the same story. And the wisdom that has been taught to me as I'm trying to learn more to step into wisdom is that the more we listen to a story, the more we can integrate that story and learn from it. If an elder is telling me a story for the 10th time, that elder knows that I haven't learned the lesson behind the story, that I haven't learned how to integrate that into my daily walk, or that I still need to heal something. And maybe that story has something for me. And so the North represents that. It represents the wisdom, the stories, the slowing down, and the paying attention to. So it encourages us to learn from our elders, ask them questions, pay attention, listen in a different way. And so I encourage you to take a little time to draw or write or paint or whatever it is that you're doing, and think about the wisdom that you already carry within you. How we are carrying wisdom, and sometimes we're not attuned to it because our life around us moves so fast, because the systems move so fast. And then we move to the direction of the south. So if we can get that water again. Yes, thank you. So direction of the south, which is the direction of the waters. Um, the direction of the south is about the future generations and our children. So we talked about the ancestors and the elders, and then the south is around our children, the young ones. It carries the energy of the hummingbird. The hummingbird is around determination, will. The hummingbird is the only bird that can fly in all directions, up, down, backwards, sideways. And so it finds its way around by doing what it needs to do to get to the next flower, to get to that next nectar for feeding. That determination and will is what challenges us sometimes to not listen to the future generations because we think we know everything. We're adults, we're smart, we got wisdom, we got all this stuff, but we forget to listen to that inner child within us that also wants to play, that wants to be joyful, that wants to smile, that wants to just, you know, be foolish, do its thing, be a little careless. The direction of the south reminds us that being careless, being playful, being joyful, smiling, making others laugh is so necessary for our overall well being. Yes, we have determination, we have will, we have goals, we're moving in a certain direction, and at the same time, we need to lighten up. The direction of the South, the direction of the future generations reminds us that. So what are your commitments to having fun, to being more playful, to being more joyful, to incorporate that? And as you draw or as you write, what does that represent? What does that look like to you? What does that mean to you? How do you do that? Especially because life is so fast, life is so busy, life is so serious. We face crises all the time, whether it's at school, whether it's at home with our families, or whether it's in the community. All that is real, all that exists. And there's moments to step into that. And then how do we come back to that life giving, joyful, playful, laughter, energy that we all need in various ways? And as we integrate all these directions together, we think about all the life giving forces that we need. And when might, when might there be a need to tap into different parts of these directions, different parts of these energies? There are times in our day where we really need to tap into our wisdom and maybe support someone with something. There are times where we really need to tap into our knowledge to support someone or to support ourselves. And there's a time where we really need to tap into creativity. And there's a time where we need to just laugh and be playful and let go of these things. And these ways invite us that we carry all these four energies within us. That you are masculine, you are feminine, you are the ancestors, and you are the future generations. And we all carry that within us. And as we're coming to a little bit of the close here, as I just caught a glimpse of the time, invite us to just write some things down, draw some things down as to what does that represent to you all. That we carry all these really powerful energies within us, and that we can utilize some of these at different times or all together when in times of stress, in times of crisis, in times of turmoil, which is basically almost every day. So we'll take a little pause in gratitude